Welcome in, everybody. This is Too Much Movie Night. Follow along while we go back in time through our favorite movie night movies and see how well they hold up. I'm one of your three co-hosts, Brian. Beside me, I've got JJ.
That's one big pile of shit.
And Steve.
That's one big pile of shit.
Together each week, we'll spin our wheel to see which movie we'll be viewing. At the end of the pod, we'll rate our movie on our Too Much meter. We'll keep track of which movies hold up to be the best movie night movies. Thanks for listening in, and give us a follow to keep up with our weekly episodes.
You stole my line, JJ!
We purposely don't coordinate on that before ahead of time because we love the natural reaction, but damn it, we finally did it. We nailed the same line.
Yep, it finally happened.
As many good ones are in this movie.
That's right. That was like, I was looking, it's like, that's the only freaking, like, really kind of quotable, I don't know. I mean, it just.
What are you talking about? We spared no expense, the clever girl. I mean, we got Life finds a way. I don't know.
But none of them that are really good.
I didn't.
That's the best one.
That's like the only Jeff Goldblum line that you could actually fit into our minuscule time segment that you give us, Brian. So.
Sorry, next time in the intro, we'll give at least 15 to 20 seconds on that one.
It is Brian's fault, JJ. It is Brian's fault.
100%.
What about Hold On to Your Butts? I liked that one too, the Sam Jackson.
Which I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I don't either. That's just Samuel Jackson having fun. Well, welcome in, everybody. You are listening to Too Much Movie Night. We've got JJ, Steve, and Brian here for another great movie. Doing Jurassic Park.
Definitely.
I think this was No, that's right. This was my movie here. This was my monster movie, if that's what we'll call it. There were some monsters in here. They were scary.
We had a good
These are things that don't
this.
exist in our everyday life. I would call that a monster here.
Fair enough. The girl, like Lex, calls them monsters too, although she gets corrected. No, they're animals, but
It is hard to think of something like a dinosaur being an animal. You think just dinosaur is a subcategory there, but
right.
I was excited for this one, like goosebumps multiple times from this movie. But I was excited to come back to it. What about you guys? Where were y'all with? I mean, would it come out in '94? JJ, did you see that in theaters?
I don't remember that age. I don't really think I do. Kind of a little bit, I guess. But no, I mean, I was a wee little lad, so I don't. I think this was probably one that got rented from, Blockbuster or Silver Screen or whatever the little movie rental place back home was. And, I just remember it was, I was struggling as a child to choose whether I wanted to be a paleontologist when I grew up or if I wanted to be a tornado chaser because I also loved the movie Twister. So
Hell yeah.
I mean,
I feel like this movie did so much good for paleontology, and then we've got the TV series Friends, also in the 90s, and Ross just made it look god-awful. Just no part of paleontology did I want to be about that. But Steve, what about you? What was your first interaction with this film?
So, so Brian, this came out like in 93. I want to say like someone opened up like in the summer of 93. That must have been like, that was the summer before my senior year in college. I honestly don't remember, but I may have actually gone to the movie theater to see this, not opening weekend, but probably sometime that summer, just because it was such a big deal at that time, I mean, everybody wanted to see, Jurassic Park, about the big damn dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I think that I was probably caught up in some of the hype of seeing that at a movie theater.
Well, I watched the movies that made us episode about Jurassic Park again, and
didn't know they had one.
And they were talking about its opening weekend. Like they spent $63 million on advertising and marketing for the movie, and they spent like $65 million making the movie. And opening weekend, no movie theater opened another movie in theaters because of all the hype about the movie, and they made $50 million opening weekend for it.
That's
so
wild.
That's
big money, man. Who doesn't love dinosaurs though? Like, I mean,
right?
It's an epic feat with dinosaurs. Like, that's surprised Michael Bay didn't get his hands on this movie and ruin it. Like, this was just awesome.
More explosions.
But this was a movie I don't. I mean, obviously the age I was, I wouldn't have seen this in theaters. I know I have seen it in theaters, one of the coming backs. I want to say it was high school or college. But this was a movie I saw at a younger age. I remember loving this as a kid. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? I feel like I kind of grew up in that age where practical effects and computer effects were really switching over. So I judged the shit out of movies. If their effects weren't good, I was not about this. But this was one I remember being impressed with as a kid. On the rewatch, it's been a while since I rewatched it, clearly.
Yeah.
But we've seen worse special effects. So I will say it wasn't the worst thing that's ever been on my screen. That's for damn sure.
With some of the special effects, I appreciated. I like some of their animatronics, I guess, if you will, too. Plus with some of their CGI that they had to put in. But you're right. On the rewatch, there was a couple of times where you saw like the T-Rex head go like bouncing, because like it just the robotics just couldn't stop it enough. With
the hydraulics will refill in there.
Yeah. So they actually talk about that in the Netflix show.
Oh, really?
First off, the guys they were originally going to go with like stop motion, and they hired a CGI company that George Lucas owned to add like blur in there to make the stop motion look more realistic. And then one of the guys was like, he's like, fuck it, I bet I could actually make this thing look like an actual dinosaur and like make it run. And so he went behind his boss's back and like created a T-Rex like walking down this thing, and they were like, holy shit, that's amazing, we're gonna do that. So they completely nixed the like 18 months of stop motion stuff that they had already started working on and like started doing stuff. But
I
then
read they almost finished the movie when they decided to scrap it too. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. And like they had the guy that was doing all the stop motion on there, and he was pissed. But a
little dejected.
But with the animatronics on like the T-Rex head that you were talking about, it's because the skin was made of this like poly foam, and in the scene it's raining, and so it just sucked up all that water and like made it really heavy, so it was like starting to fail, and they were like, okay, we gotta like drain it or dry it off or something, because it started bouncing up and down, and it looked like it was about to fall.
That's freaking great. Yeah, I saw this was in part of the shooting in Hawaii. I guess that one of the biggest hurricanes that's ever hit Hawaii hit during the filming of this, which caused a lot of the issues. Kind of, I guess they had to scrap a handful of scenes because of the weather and all that kind of stuff. But way more went into the process of this movie than I would have guessed.
Yeah, and actually a bunch of the
flawlessly.
like a bunch of the storm shots are actually from that hurricane. They were all posted up in the hotel, and Steven Spielberg was like, "Grab a camera, we're gonna go out and get some shots real quick." And it's like, okay.
Cutting corners on the rain budget.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what happened to Newman. I was wondering.
Right.
Newman got caught up in the hurricane.
Oh man. Well, let's go ahead and hit this trailer so we can bounce into this movie.
Yes, sir.
There it is. Welcome to Jurassic Park. We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
How'd you do this?
becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Universal Pictures presents
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts.
a Steven Spielberg film.
Fences are failing all over the park.
Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
An adventure
Look out! Go!
I can't get Jurassic Park back online.
65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park begins on the island of Isla Nublar off the coast of Costa Rica. We meet the billionaire John Hammond, who has created an animal theme park that will feature cloned dinosaurs. Following an accident at the site, lawyer Donald Gennaro orders that the safety of the island be evaluated and certified by a group of experts. Hammond recruits paleontologist Dr. Alan Grant, paleobotanist Dr. Ellie Sattler, and mathematician and chaos theorist Dr. Ian Malcolm to conduct the evaluation. Each of the scientists are shocked to see living dinosaurs. Hammond reveals that his company, InGen, created the dinosaurs through cloning. InGen found the dinosaurs' DNA from extracting blood from prehistoric mosquitoes that were trapped in amber. Whenever there was a gap in the DNA string, the scientists used frog DNA to fill in missing genomes. When the scientists ask about the breeding practices of the dinosaurs, Dr. Henry Wu reveals that all the dinosaurs have been bred female. Dr. Malcolm theorizes that eventually life will find a way around the scientists' restrictions.
Woo, man!
Alyssa, wow,
And
that's
we are 30 minutes into the movie. 45 minutes into the movie.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to go back. First of all, this is an unintentional Samuel L. Jackson movie. Because I completely completely fucking forgot that he was in this movie, and then I was like, oh shit, this is a Samuel L. Jackson movie.
How can you forget about his chain smoking?
Oh man, I totally forgot that he was in it, and then I started watching it again. But one of the things I do want to talk about is why. Well, I mean, for one thing, let me see. Why did they go to the mine? What's the lawyer on the fucking raft going to the mine for?
Do you mind if I touch the opening scene before we jump to that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're opening up with this opening scene, and this feels very Spielberg-esque. We've complained, I don't know how many times, guys, like 8 times on these movies, that we get these long-ass intros. Bullshit. Spielberg takes you straight to the action, and I loved that. Like, right off the bat, you've got action sequence, you've got this badass, like the groundskeeper or whatever. I think he needed his own series. He shouldn't have died at the end of this movie. But just an intense starting scene with all of these safety precautions, and yet the cage doesn't lock in place right when they open up the gate. Like, everything else was flawless, except that.
I was thinking that too. You know, here's one thing. They're wheeling this damn thing through the jungle, like crash, 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 and then they just put it down. And they're like, all right, pushing crew.
4 guys push it.
It's like, what the fuck? Why not just push it with that big fucking thing that you just carried it through the jungle with, right?
Well,
move it up there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you watch these Jeeps drive down the roads in this place, and you're like, okay, that's not the smoothest ride. And this forklift that's carrying this giant metal cage is just
Bobbing.
like, live animal inside, no big deal.
But yeah, then it takes us to, like you said, the lawyer going to get the amber. What were y'all's thoughts? I wasn't a huge fan of the scene.
I didn't understand it. I was like thinking, okay, why is he's on a different island to a mine? He's just going to a mine to talk to, I guess he wants to go see Hammond, but Hammond's not even there.
Because
So he
they're in
just
the
ends
Dominican Republic there. So, like, yeah, what's the
Yeah.
connection?
So he's just going to the amber mine to go fucking like, I just don't know. It's like, why? It made no sense to me for him. And then to him to have that discussion with the mine worker even, you know?
Only thing I could think is, like, it's either A, he thought Hammond was there, and so that's where he was going to go find him, or B, you know, he's there investigating what all of the investors' money, where it's going. So
For sure.
he's like, okay, well, obviously we're dumping a shit ton of money into this side of things. Like, I've got to go investigate that as well. That's kind of the only thing I could think of other than, yeah, I came to see Hammond. Well, Hammond's not here. Well, where the hell is he? His daughter's getting a divorce. Yeah.
And I thought this was like their way of trying to explain to us the whole amber mosquito thing, but we get that like 20 minutes down the road in the video tour. So I didn't, and hell, they had to have found multiple of these amber mosquitoes before. If I were these mining assholes, price is going up drastically on these amber mosquitoes. I don't care what you find in them. Price is jacking the hell up. Because what are these guys probably making? $40 a month for digging in these mine shafts? You know
Maybe.
it.
Maybe.
Yeah, these are just, absolutely throwaway scene in my book.
And how much amber? How much amber has fucking mosquitoes in it? I mean, does that much amber have mosquitoes in it? I don't know. Maybe.
How pissed off when they pull up the mosquito? Oh shit! It's only 100 years old. I guess it's fossilized, so it won't be that ill.
Is amber full of fucking bugs? Is it full of? Is amber full of ants, mosquitoes, just shit like that ever gets captured on trees?
So the only amber I know, she was full of crap. So I don't know.
Damn it.
That's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one. But I mean, like, and how do you know that the mosquito in question has dinosaur DNA in it?
Right? How many mosquitoes have been just a pointless fucking mosquito?
Right.
We're gonna take this DNA from this mosquito, mix it with a frog, and then out comes something that the world has never seen before. And now this, I guess this is where the fly would make its, like, you know, intersection into Jurassic Park, where we have this freak creature running around that nobody's
Jeff
ever seen
Goldblum
before.
should have fought the dinosaurs.
See?
So at this point now we find ourselves in Montana. And JJ, like you said, the whole archaeologist thing, I think this was oddly satisfying before oddly satisfying was a social media thing, because I love nothing more than watching these guys with paintbrushes dig out these bones. If that could be my job, I would do that. The rest of archaeology, no. But yeah, I was like, it was so satisfying seeing these guys just slowly dust them out. I was like, I rewound it only twice, but
Oh my god, how oddly boring that would be. It's like, are you kidding
No,
me?
it's like a sign of discovery. You're like, I just found something in the dirt, and like, this is so great. Like, that would be badass.
But you could be one of those fucking kids out there, like sweeping away sand in a playground. That's what it was. It was playground sand. Sweeping away that playground. You could find something, but yet that dude's going to get all the credit for it because it's his dig. You know, you could fucking find it, but he's getting all the credit. Like, what fucking good is that?
But what they do, they then go write a paper, and they have to list you as an author of the paper because you were involved. I'm sorry, a journal. That's
so
what they
actually,
call them,
I was
journals.
One of my first memories of this movie, right around the age, like first, second grade, but living in Indiana at the time, pretty big backyard. But I remember specifically, we had like a garden plot in the backyard at the time. And there was a point in time where I'm in the backyard and I'm digging because, oh my God, it'd be so cool to find bones. Legitimately found bones in the backyard. I'm digging them up. I'm so excited. I've got this bowl full of like these tiny little bones. Like, Mom, look what I found. She goes, Brian, those are chicken bones. Get rid of those. That's somebody's KFC shit. Get out of that. It was chicken bones. These were these tiny little bones. Maybe 12 inches, 18 inches into the ground. And I think I found fucking dinosaurs. And she just took a shit all over that bowl and said, no, Brian, those are chicken bones. Quit playing with that shit. It's probably the dead dog from the previous owner, if we're being honest.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
One of my earliest like disappointments in life, I could remember like, oh, that's somebody's fucking dinner, or that's bingo.
This is about the size of Fluffy's leg, but you said the cat went to camp.
So I want to know about the little fat kid who is heckling him. Right? What is up with that little fat heckler? It's like, doesn't look very scary to me. For one thing, stupid, you're standing way out there. You can't see shit anyway. Doesn't look very scary to me. Looks like a 6-foot turkey. It's like, who the fuck are you?
So I couldn't find anything to confirm it, but evidently, like, the fan theory is that kid is supposed to be Chris Pratt from the new Jurassic World series. Like, that little moment was supposed to have, like, spurred him into wanting to be involved with these dinosaurs and, like, built that, like, in him. Couldn't find anything that confirmed it. Spielberg didn't, but that's where everybody likes to play with the whole connection from one universe.
I would have grabbed a shovel and just, like...
Because then he has to go and, like, basically shame the kid, you know?
Cut you right around the belly there, fat boy.
Yeah.
Scar the kid for life. Oh, your intestines are hanging out. Good luck sleeping tonight, you little shit.
I was just, because fucking watching it, I'm like, who the fuck is that fat little kid heckling? It never explained anything about it, you know, anything. There was a couple things that was left unexplained from this movie.
Well, I would have been like, all right, whose kid is this? Be like, congratulations, you're fired. Get your fat ass kid and get the fuck out. Like,
yeah, and why wouldn't mom and dad say, shut up, Timmy? You know, whatever.
No, they dropped him off in that sandbox. They're coming to pick him up 8 hours later. Hey, you're going to digging camp.
You're going to digging. It's like, we had enough of your ass. You're going out there to go fucking dig.
It's just some summer camp for this kid.
Put on your most 90s shirt possible, and you're going to go out there to the dig site and get to town.
But so then we're getting to the point where we're in the helicopter. We're getting the introduction to Jeff Goldblum. I found him creepy. Yeah, he's a little fun. He's that, but he was like overly a little abrasive there with the way he comes on. Very strong. You could see Alan was not the kind of guy that wanted to chat.
I don't know, abrasive. I would say aggressive. He's definitely a man, some aggressiveness.
I mean, here's a multi-millionaire, if not billionaire, that is doing this thing. You're going out to the park to investigate it, per se, and you're gonna squeeze the guy's knee, be like, "Hoot hoot, old man, What do you think about that?"
I love we get Hammond later on. I hate that guy.
Yeah, I fucking hate that guy. Which is awesome.
How did you guys like the? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say because I actually kind of dug him. Yes, he's kind of a creepy fucker in here, but man, he is like just laying some game down the whole time. He is just laying some game on this chick. Hey, Dr. Sadler, and like, so you guys dig up dinosaurs, whatever, man. But he was just laying some serious game, which I thought was awesome.
I was gonna say my favorite Jurassic Park movie is number 2, The Lost World, and obviously he's the lead role in it, and like, then going back after watching that as a kid, like, he doesn't have like a huge part in the movie, but he still brings that like Jeff Goldblum comedy of like,
that comic relief in these serious situations, for sure.
Yeah, like, I'm not here for like any of this science bullshit. Like, this is like, I'm looking at the chaos, obviously, which I don't understand that, like how you can be a chaos theorist, but I mean, apparently that was a thing back in the day.
That's what I'm curious. I don't know. It's like basically you're just a chaos theorist if you believe everything's fucked. Right? Everything's fucked. I told you. Exactly. Yeah, you're a fucking pessimist, basically. Everything's fucked. We're all fucked. It's all chaos. There's no fucking order. Well, okay, great. It's like that's basically what it seems like.
But how did you guys like the ride that they go in? Essentially, like, kind of walking you through telling the guests how they would experience it, but also explaining some of the science to us.
Well, before we get there, I have one other thing, right? Because they're still driving in the gas jeeps, which I found it funny that they kept calling them the gas jeep. Oh, hey, why don't you just take a gas jeep and go out there? Well, no shit, because the other ones are just fucking electric self-driving cars. I'm not going to get in that. But the jeeps are gas. But anyway, so they're cruising around the jeep when they see the dinosaur the first time. Now, Ellie is in the passenger seat with a big fucking leaf and is just amazed. This leaf is some kind of vermiform leaf that is extinct since the Cretaceous period. Okay, you fucking found DNA from dinosaurs is what made you make dinosaurs. How did you bring a plant back from the fucking past, also from the Cretaceous period? What is that?
They pulled it from the dinosaur's stomach DNA that was inside the mosquito DNA.
No, I was thinking about that as well. Like, you obviously know this plant. First off, how did they get this DNA, I don't know, myoglobin to build said plant? And then, what does she do? She's driving by and she's like, I'm going to grab this big-ass leaf from this extinct plant. That doesn't make any sense. I think it's one of those,
like, they answer the question, like, wait, dinosaurs can't eat modern vegetation. You have to bring back their vegetation. So, like, that kind of answers that question for you of, like, all right, they're bringing back everything, so it works. But then they leave that gaping hole of, well, time out, how did you get said vegetation? So, like, I appreciate that they're trying to answer questions for us, but in doing so, you usually leave bigger holes than if you left that smaller one unattended,
Right.
So
why not just dinosaurs eat fucking modern vegetation?
Yeah.
I'm
thrilled at this point seeing them see dinosaurs. Cut out the vegetation. I hadn't even thought of that yet.
Right.
Well, I mean, you can control, like, the dinosaurs can't breed. The dinosaurs, if we, like, release whatever fucking chemical into the air, they can't process it, so they'll die. Like, you have so much control over all this. It's like, all right, so, why not let them eat bales of hay? Like, let's go in and change that. The T-Rex now likes to eat fucking sticks.
Or feed them other dinosaurs. Shit, man. I say let them loose. That's what I used to do in
breed
Zoo
a bunch
Tycoon.
of fucking little dinosaurs for them to eat, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
Well, Steve, I guess it's kind of pointless to ask you this question, Steve Jeep Hartman. But JJ, we've got these dope ass Jeeps they had, and then we've got these cool green Ford Explorers. You got to pick one. Which one's your favorite?
Okay, so there was actually a guy back in my hometown that he had a Jeep that he painted like a Ford Explorer from this movie. Right?
I mean, it's the best of both worlds, I guess. I like the paint job better on the Ford Explorer, I will say. Hence the background here for all of our fans watching on YouTube.
But I
Too much
don't
movie
know.
night.
I kind of like the red and white Jeep. I mean, I think that's pretty dope.
Notice how I went with the color of one and the style of the other? Yeah. But Steve, I imagine you like the Jeep better.
I do like the Jeep. I want to say, like, I've seen somebody with that Jeep. I'm sure they're all over the place, but I've seen like around here. There's at least one of those Jeeps painted like that.
We've got that and a mystery machine floating around Virginia Beach. It's fun when you finally spot them.
And a Ghostbuster vehicle. I've seen that a number of times. Yeah.
See, we had the shaggin' wagon from Dumb and Dumber running around there. So y'all just lose automatically because that's the greatest vehicle from any movie ever.
We might have to do a movie vehicle podcast or movie vehicle draft on the Too Much Shenanigans podcast because I think that could get really fun.
I think it could too.
But yeah, so
nice plug.
Absolutely. Looking for a little light fun every Monday. Too Much Shenanigans. But yeah, so we get to the scene now where we're kind of walking us through how all this happens. This little this very much Disney World ride. I liked it though. It answered my questions. It wasn't too long. It wasn't a boring ass conversation. I liked it.
I forgot who they say did the voice of the DNA strand. But I love that guy's voice. He's like, these dinosaurs. Like, I was like, dude, I fucking love that. Like,
so
that took me back to my childhood where I was like, oh shit.
As part of their evaluation, the scientists are given a vehicle tour of the island. Hammond sends his 2 grandchildren, Tim and Lex, along with the group. When a violent tropical storm threatens the island, the tour is cut short and the cars head back to the main building. Meanwhile, Hammond's lead computer programmer, Dennis Nedry, begins deactivating systems so that he can access the protected frozen dinosaur embryos. Nedry's unsatisfied with the financial compensation that Hammond has given him, so he has decided to supplement his income by stealing and selling the embryos. He steals the embryos, but while he is en route to get to the boat, he crashes his Jeep and ends up being killed by a Dilophosaurus. At the same time, the tour cars shut down in front of the T-Rex pen. The T-Rex breaks free of the pen and begins destroying the tour car that Gennaro, Tim, and Lex are in. Gennaro is eaten by the T-Rex, and Malcolm is severely injured when he tries to save the kids. Grant is able to get the kids out of the car, but the trio is forced to retreat into the jungle to get away from the T-Rex. They end up sleeping in a tree to stay away from any dinosaurs. They are awoken by a Brachiosaurus eating on the leaves of the tree that they are sleeping in.
Which I didn't remember this. When I saw the runtime at 2 hours, I kind of thought, I was like, shit, did they really have that many pointless scenes in this? Because I didn't remember that many large, big plot scenes. But this had way more going in it than I remembered.
There were a lot of pointless scenes in it.
I mean, there's a couple of pointless scenes, but I think, like, there's a lot of, like, small little snippets that really have a lot of information in it.
Absolutely. I thought we got a lot of questions answered in those.
I think that, like, in some of those scenes, but, like, I think that they had to do it because of they were in the book, but so they had to put something in it in the movie, but it didn't really match. And for example, the fucking sick Triceratops. They're cruising along. He's, Malcolm is fucking hitting on Ellie again, placing the water and rubbing her and pulling her in her hair and shit. And then,
glad Alan was in the car with them.
Right. While that dude's in the car with him, and then he fucking like gets out because he sees this Jeep and hears a murr. So they go to the Triceratops. This Triceratops is sick. They're checking it out. They're digging. That's when the big pile of shit comes because she's searching through for the berries. But there's no explanation of the fucking Triceratops at all. Like, why is it sick? Nothing. Just every 6 weeks it gets fucking sick. And she digs through the shit, no lilac berries, and that's it. It's like no explanation.
Well, you kind of quit worrying about the sick things that are trying to kill you now.
Yeah, I very much thought that scene, not necessarily throw it away, because I get Michael Crichton, and he not only wrote the book, but wrote a lot of the script, so I know he was trying to stay true to the book, but that was one of the scenes, like, all right, let's get it going a little bit. I want to see dinosaurs on their feet, not on their back, kind of a thing. That guy wasn't exciting. As cool as the Triceratops was.
But, I mean, that was like, the real, like, introduction of the animatronics that they put into the movie, so it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, they, like you can watch the interviews with the actors, and it was like, with the CG stuff, it's like we're reacting to nothing. And actually, when they filmed the Triceratops scene, that was the first time that they had actually seen that. Mm-hmm. And so they, like, it's a real genuine reaction of being like, holy shit, like, that thing looks and I guess feels real. Nobody knows what it really feels like, but I mean, like, it looks so real, and it's like breathing and shit like that. Like, that's cool. So,
and I think this is part of the brilliance of the score of this movie, and I think the music helps this movie tremendously. I mentioned having goosebumps in this movie. That was part of that. We had a couple of dinosaur revealings where the music just starts kicking up, and that's what I was talking about. Like, the goosebumps just showed up. Might also have been the fact that it was 80 degrees today and I finally had my AC on my house. But I had goosebumps through that scene just because it's so, that moment, you could see it on their face. You actually felt like they're seeing dinosaurs for the first time. And it was that great feeling, but not as great as seeing that T-Rex fucking... Oh, man, that was so much fun.
See, like what, destroy the car and everything? Yeah. Is that... Oh, yeah.
Rip through that fence. Just
so that shit was crazy because, for one thing, all right, I was totally confused by what the fuck was happening because they're stopped there waiting for the T-Rex. The goat comes up, shit like that. It's daylight. The goat's there. Fuck it. The goat's like, no T-Rex is showing up. Then all the power goes out, right? It's dark. They're at the same fucking place because they're looking. Oh, the goat's gone. Oh, where's the goat? And then the leg appears. The T-Rex busts through the fucking thing, destroys shit, right? I love all that. But then, right, here's the fucked up part. Now, they're escaping the T-Rex and scaling down the fucking wall. Right? They're scaling down this big fucking 100-foot wall, which wasn't there when the T-Rex was fucking busting through the gate and eating the goat. It was all the same level. So where did this big fucking wall come from? I don't know. Right?
As they were suspended, reality must be suspended here, Steve. I will say, though, as soon as Alan Grant, him and the girl grabbed that wire or whatever to start scaling down, the moment they did that, they said, fuck the kid. Like, you cannot say that they had 100%. Some escape plan to get him. No, we're going to start scaling down here, and hopefully he gets pushed down in the car, safely hits a tree, and we can, like, no, he was ditching that boy right off there.
Well, I like what I want to know is, like, you're scared, so you run to the shit house and sit on the toilet.
Straw.
First off, why? Why is, like, I mean, you see a building, you're going towards the building. I can understand that. It's a bathroom. So
scared the shit out of them.
But first off, they don't want. You hear Samuel L. Jackson say, like, "Oh, I knew we should have put locks on the cars and shit like that." So why the hell did you build a bathroom?
Oh yeah,
outside.
That's a good point.
Maybe, I don't know.
But then all of a sudden,
rest stop.
Gennaro or whatever is sitting on the toilet, which for the longest time, up until actually this viewing, I thought like his pants were down at his ankles. It wasn't until I realized that he actually was just wearing shorts and sitting on the toilet that the building somehow explodes around him. And
well, don't T-Rexes have long arms? Can't they do that?
In this movie, they do because he reaches over and grabs the fence. You see that arm of the T-Rex, like, it's like, wait, that's a fucking. How is he doing that with that little fucking nub? He got arms like a T-Rex.
But it's just amazing that everything in this this building just disappears, blows over, covers up old Ian, and then here's just old boy just sitting on the shitter. Just like
we're gonna get ripped to shreds more than he did on the comments from the show for destroying a beloved movie here, guys.
But here's another thing, right? But Ian is getting fucking chased by this and gets the T-Rex doesn't fucking come down on him, which it fucking launches him into the air, right? Now, why does the T-Rex launch him but fucking chomp everybody else? But it's gonna fucking.
We got to keep the chaos theorist alive. We need comic relief here.
we have to make sure he comes back for, movie number 2.
And 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm trying not to bring up holes here. But one thing, so we're in the tree, right? Alan Grant's going to get the kid out of the tree. Pulls him out parallel with the vehicle, right? We hear a big crunch like it's about to fall. So, weirdly, but I feel like I would just stay there and watch the car fall and then make my way down. But instead, they get underneath that said car and try. I don't know. I'm not trying to put holes in the movie. Love the movie, but like it's one of those like. Were we thinking here?
Why are there steering wheels in the fucking self-driving vehicle? Why? Why are there steering wheels? Are they intended for people to fucking take over in case of emergency? I don't think so. Right?
I don't think so. I don't get why they're actually functioning vehicles. If they're on a track, shouldn't it just be a shell of a vehicle that gets dragged along?
Yes.
Why is there a motor in this bitch?
Save some work for your track machine and just like let drive an empty shell.
Yeah. And it's obviously connected to something. It's getting power somewhere other than the vehicle, because when the power goes out, boom, the shit in the fucking cars go out, which I'm like,
and yet they talk about the headlights going off the battery of the car, and it shouldn't be doing that. So the car does work.
You would think, right?
I don't know.
I was confused by the whole power grid in this movie anyway, because when fucking Hammond is sitting there eating ice cream because it's all melting, but the ceiling fans were going and they still had computers and shit on.
See, I don't think the freezer was melting. I think he was just stating the fact, I brought ice cream on the table and it's melting, so I got to eat it all.
No, it was all, but I'm like, okay.
That was a metaphor that he's melting because his money is gone.
His money is melting away. But I was like, man, well, come on. Why are your refrigerators on the fucking fence grid or something? Why aren't they on the grid with your computers? What's going on here, bro? Somebody wired this shit wrong.
It's Newman. It's Newman.
Fucking Newman.
Newman. If Newman would have survived, he would have called back and been like, "Are your refrigerators running?"
Gotta say the magic word. And I guess now that we brought him up, kind of touch on his scenes. One of the most memeable things from this movie is that, when he's talking to Dotson. And, we see that meme everywhere. And I don't remember ever actually paying attention or listening to that scene as a kid. All I remember paying attention to was that Barbasol can. How cool that was, that it spun out of the bottom. It's got these, like, cooling... just some of the tech that we saw in this movie, some of, the little inventions we saw were so cool. Something that we see a lot from Spielberg. He puts a little bit of effort, I feel like, into these kinds of things.
I thought it was hilarious. I was just laughing at Newman's reactions to everything, because he was just like excited like a little kid seeing a fucking dinosaur, just like just fucking just
he
as
was Newman. He was fully Newman from Science.
Jumpy. Oh man, just as jumpy and giddy as he could be about the money.
I love the fact he sprays that. He sprays that into his hand. He looks at it and just drops it on the pie.
That was so funny. I really wish we could have seen the end of that. Like, as we're pulling out of this scene, maybe you see a guy take a bite of it or something. It was great little things that they put in there.
Man, what a fucking wreck. His desk was just absolute wreck. Everything was just complete chaos with him.
Which is the hardest part.
They should have shown an interaction between Jeff Goldblum and him prior to. I think it would have been a good little bit of dialogue if they would have bumped each other in the hallway, and just to see who says excuse me, or just to hear what the chaos theorist and Newman have to say to each other.
Well, it's hard too because I mean I feel like Hammond, half of his lines were spare no expense, spare no expense, but Newman's whole issue is he's not getting paid enough. So obviously we don't. He seems to have money issues, maybe gambling debts or something like that.
I don't
Hammond
necessarily
before.
think that he doesn't get paid enough. I think it's the fact that he just gambles all of his money away or spends it all.
He's a greedy son of a bitch.
Stupid shit.
But actually in the movie they talk about that, like he's like, hey, you bid on this, right? He's a contractor who bid on a contract for it. So it's like, I'm paying you what you bid. If you have money problems, that's your issue, bro. It's not like I'm not paying you, right? Because you bid on this stuff. So I think that has a lot to do with it too, you know.
But yeah, at this point we're kind of seeing Grant and the kids up in the tree. Now these kids, Grant says in the beginning of the movie when he's dealing with Fat Boy who cuts out his belly, that he does not like kids. But the little boy looks up to him like he's some sort of dinosaur god, and the little girl's got some sort of infatuation. Like there's several hand-holding scenes that she has with him, and
oh yeah, she like falls and he's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And she like then just like holds his hand and he's like, you see that look on his face like, "What the fuck?"
So here, this maybe like
the
divorce comment earlier on makes a little bit more sense. Like clearly, these parents probably don't pay a lot of attention. The dad may not pay attention to the kids; so they're looking for some sort of father figure. But like you feel that there's some sort of reason that they're drawn to this man. Like he's nothing special. He's a cool guy. He's chill. He's knowledgeable. But like he shows them no special attention. So the fact that they're drawn to him is kind of, it's an up in the air. Is that like a Spielberg thing? Is that like like Disney always kills off the
maybe
dad
that
and
is
the mom?
something like reason why they're drawn to him, because maybe he treats us like dad. He ignores us. He doesn't like us. Oh my god.
Well, no, I mean,
Daddy doesn't want us.
I mean, like you kind of hear her make that comment because he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go get your brother," and she freaks out and she's like, "No, you're just gonna do whatever his name is and like leave us." And he's like, "No, I'm coming back." And she's like, "Dad said that when he went to go get milk." Like that's all I could think of.
She's just watching deleted scenes over here.
Like I was like waiting for that to just pop up. Like maybe this is like an extended version that I'm watching or something. But no, it never happened.
It never happened. Oh man! But the funny thing, like when they wake up in the tree, yes, that big fucking Brachiosaurus is there or whatever. But I thought it was funny as shit whenever she fucking gets sneezed on and they're walking away then. And he's like, great, now she's never going to want to do anything. I was like, that is so fucking like almost any girl, like my wife or whatever. Is like, something bad happens, shit, now we're never going to do anything fun.
So you actually brought up a valid point though earlier, Steve. How do they know that this Brachiosaurus can eat the trees that are around on this island?
They planted all these trees and waited dozens and dozens of years for these trees to fully grow.
That tree was so tall, there ain't no way.
Hammond's been working on this project for decades. Did you see how old this fuck was? He was an old fella.
He's like, dude, I swear to God, the only thing I see was Colonel Sanders. It was Colonel Sanders the whole time, right?
If we did, they probably put that Scottish accent in there on purpose because we didn't want to get some southern drawl from him, out there on his porch with his iced tea, watching his dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
No accents, too much.
So, funny thing, because like, Ian Malcolm, he only wore black the whole time, and Hammond only wore white. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. Funny thing in the book, Malcolm tells something like Ellie or something like that. He only wears black because he doesn't have to think about what he's going to wear.
Oh, the Einstein approach.
Which the same thing that like Seth Brundle says in The Fly about his wardrobe too. It's like, okay, that's fucking interesting right there,
Yeah.
We do get that a few shots of Malcolm at this point after he gets saved, where he's got his shirt opened up, he's got that nice little sweat draw on him, he's laying there all studly, not like he's got a tourniquet on his leg, but they were doing that sex appeal on him hardcore.
So him and Laura Dern hooked up after this.
He must have quit on his last wife.
They were engaged for 2 years after this show.
Wow.
That dude, he hooks up with any kind of with co-stars.
He is dipping the pen in the company ink there, isn't he?
It's funny too. In the movie, he makes the comment, "I'm always looking for the future ex Mrs. Malcolm." Like,
Yes.
he doesn't care. He loves marriage. He loves ending it. You know.
But yeah, it's so true. He hooked up with her, was hooked up for 2 years with her, like engaged with her. So that's funny shit.
Good for him,
Jeff
though.
Goldblum.
Good
Yeah.
for him.
Back at the main building, Hammond sends the park's game warden, Robert Muldoon, to retrieve his grandchildren. Muldoon is joined by Dr. Sattler, and they find the injured Malcolm outside the T-Rex pen. Once they load Malcolm onto their Jeep, the T-Rex appears again and begins pursuing them, which the trio just barely escape from. The next day, Grant finds some broken dinosaur eggshells while walking through the jungle with the kids. Grant realizes that the dinosaurs have overcome the scientists' manipulation by using some of the amphibian DNA that allows frogs to change sex in a single-sex environment. Yeeks, they should have thought about that. Shortly afterwards, the trio is almost crushed after the dinosaurs are startled by the pursuing T-Rex, and they continue on towards the main building.
So go ahead and head to toomuchindustries.com. Go to the bottom where it says careers. We're looking for a new producer who can read the script as is. Damn, that girl loves adding shit in there.
Oh man, that's so funny. So the too funny here, right? So Hammond says I like Muldoon. I agree with you. That dude was awesome, and his shotgun, that Franchi Spaz 12 shotgun, you know,
with this little the stock that flips out,
Yeah.
dude. Oh, it was so cool.
I don't know if you heard this or not. You probably did, but like Spielberg kept that gun afterwards, had the whole crew sign it and stuff like that. The whole cast sign it, and whenever people come over to his ranch, he lets them shoot it. So yeah, specific. Cool. So he kept that shotgun. Apparently, he has some extensive freaking personal gun collection, and that one was added to it. So I thought, okay, that's pretty badass, you know. But yeah,
that's awesome.
But that shotgun was that style shotgun was chosen specifically because of its futuristic type look, you know, that's not just a basic pump, but you know,
even nowadays it still looks like it's a good looking gun, you know.
Yeah.
Like, do hate how he's like we'll go across the island, and then he like unlocks the fucking little tiny padlock on this like cabinet, and then like he just puts one shell in it, and he's like, let's go, and like walks off. It's like you not. That's all you're gonna do is just one round.
Oh, he's confident, man. He's
one shot, one kill. One shot, one kill. That's it.
But I will say
this movie.
He is my favorite character in the movie. Just like right before he dies,
shoot her.
He just looks over and he's like, clever girl. Like, I have been outsmarted. It is my time to die.
Which is funny because everybody else seems to talk about them being pack hunters, and yet the game warden is not aware that they are pack hunters, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The dude that's never even seen one before, but just seen bones, knows about this stuff. And even tells, and then they're looking, but you don't see the ones that come from the side. But
the chubby kid knows this.
The little fat kid, right. But they're right. The people that work with them don't know this, you know? Yet he knows that, like, the big one, the big female come in and, like, ate all the other ones and destroyed them and controls them all. But he's not even thinking, he doesn't see that. I just don't know.
It's kind of a deal of, like, that makes you think, if you're going to make dinosaurs, obviously you do have to make a T-Rex because that's just cool as shit. But who heard of a Velociraptor before Jurassic Park?
Honestly, I never had heard of a Velociraptor before Jurassic Park.
But it was a huge hit. The Toronto Raptors became out of it because of our affinity for raptors after this movie. I kind of liked that too. As we kind of progressing through the scene, we find them come on like the dinosaur eggs, realizing that, oh wow, some frogs can change sex, so they're reproducing. But it very much seemed like we're setting up sequels at this point in the movie. 2/3 of the way in, you're kind of seeing, all right, we have places to take this movie without ending us in a weird way, leaving us a cliffhanger, you know.
But the dinosaur chasing them, right? Here we go. The dinosaur chasing them in the car. Muldoon fucking driving that Jeep is not going very quickly.
Well, they're Jeeps. They take forever to get up to speed. I've been on the highway behind a Jeep. I know how to work.
This is a Jeep TJ too, right there. these are way underpowered too.
Actually, why that scene was so short and like how they got away so quickly was the CGI team couldn't figure out how to make it look like so realistic. Like the dinosaur running that fast was like so realistic. So Steven Spielberg had started filming Schindler's List while they were also finishing up Jurassic Park. So he was working on that during the day and then working with the other teams during the night, and he would video conference in with them over like via satellite and be like, look at the scene and be like, no, it could be better, or no, that's great, whatsoever, you have my approval. And they worked for several weeks on that one scene trying to make it look like the T-Rex was running correctly. And each time he was like, no, it looks fucked up. Like, no, it looks fucked up. Like, keep changing it. Keep changing it.
Looks like a toddler running.
Right, so finally, the guy that was like
there.
the guy that was doing all of the CGI stuff was just like, what if we focused more on the Jeep instead of the T-Rex? And then that's how that scene came to life.
So like Steve, you talk about how iconic of a scene too. Like I've seen this in several other movies, and watching this movie, Alyssa actually pointed out Toy Story 2. This scene is replicated, which also the protagonist in that movie is Nedry. It's Newman. Newman's Al from Al's Toy Barn, and that's where this scene is filmed in Toy Story, the little Jurassic Park scene, which I thought was a fun little, like, you know, how it all tied in. But yeah, the objects appear closer than the shaking water, like dozens of TV shows and movies. It's just, it's so iconic.
Back at the visitor center, Ray Arnold theorizes that they may be able to bypass Nedry's damage if they shut off all the power. Arnold believes that it will reboot all the computer systems. However, once the power is turned off, the breakers are tripped. Arnold goes to reset the breakers, but he is killed by a velociraptor along the way. When Arnold does not immediately return, Muldoon and Sattler go to investigate. Muldoon realizes that the raptors are loose and chooses to distract them while Sattler makes a break for the electrical shed. He makes the ultimate sacrifice because those raptors work together to rip him to shreds. Sattler is able to reset the breakers and finds out that Arnold was killed. She retreats back to the visitor center while being pursued by the raptors.
So going back to the satisfying feeling of some of these scenes, that whole flipping the switch, clicking the buttons on that she was doing, it was something about, like, why is she having to press all these buttons? But something about just that satisfaction of her going over there. It felt so good. Again, I rewound it. I had to watch it twice.
That actually is satisfying type stuff. I agree with that.
Have you ever seen a power box that you have to, like, I never have, and I've always wanted to.
Cool.
I'm like, I want to be like, hey, can I power this on? Like, you got to pump it like 4
So
times.
All the buttons.
We have some stuff there's some stuff in a platform that I've been on where we have to, like, power shit up, and it's basically like we don't have anything to, like, crank up to build a charge, but it's like once it's, hit this, then like, you can hear shit like kind of power up is like
Get that like Star Wars sound of them,
that is
like,
very
to fire
fucking
the Death
satisfying kind of stuff, right? Yeah, when you hear like, all right, let's hit the power on, just like you can fucking just like feel this power generating through this fucking thing. It's like, okay, yeah.
Why do you think we're doing podcasts? So I get to push buttons all day. This is fucking great. It's my favorite part of the job right now. Pushing buttons.
Definitely satisfying stuff.
Yeah, but I do love the dialogue where, Hammond is like reading her off the schematics and Ian's in the background. And he's like, just follow the big wire. And he's like, I know how to read schematics. And he's like, yeah, but no, just follow the big wire. And then finally she's like, no, it dead ends. And he's like, do you see the big pipe with the wires in it? Just follow that. And it's like,
well,
no
there's
shit.
There's several comments that Hammond makes that just make him feel outdated. Like his whole, well, I should go because me and you shouldn't go because you're, and she like shuts him down. Like we'll talk about the sexism there later, but like she does that 2 or 3 times in the movie. Like no problem calling guys out. Like shut the fuck, like shut up. I've got this. I'm doing it. Like, and you love that. We've done several movies where we see strong female leads, and I loved her in this. Like her just ability of, fuck it, I don't mind, I'll go. I got my shorts. I don't care if a raptor scratches me up, tears me up. You know?
I got my shorts and my hiking boots. I'm ready to fuck shit
Right.
up.
I mean, she is not afraid to like dig her hands in shit.
Except, I love the humility that you see in her face when her and the grounds guy,
Muldoon?
Game Warden.
Muldoon,
Yeah, when we see her and Muldoon, and all of a sudden he's like, "All right, run!" And as soon as she goes to take off, just right to the gut, just takes that huge branch, and you can see a little bit of humility on her face, like, "Oh my god, I just fucked up this," but she doesn't care. She hops over it and like lunges and swings, but just that instant movement. How many times I've gotten so excited, I'm gonna quick move and then just bam, just
Fuck, I didn't look at everything.
right, just loved
Oh,
it.
did anybody see me?
Right, such
thought
an
we're good.
intense scene, but we're gonna get a little bit of that. And I loved that. I loved.
It
seeing
would have been
her trying to
hilarious if
scamper
Muldoon
away.
was just like, I saw that from like.
Do you want to try that again?
I would have lost my shit.
Yeah,
Sorry,
very
we just
much.
put that there.
But it's a good
All right,
rabbit.
before we go to the last one, I want to touch on the electric fence, the one that this little boy and probably the girl can fit through several of the holes. I get some of the holes are smaller, but like you look at it, their shoulders can fit through it. I'm just cramming them some bitches through there. But okay, we're gonna climb to the top. They are all level on the one side of the fence, and the next thing we see is little boys climbing over the fence, but the other two are already on the ground. So it took him 5+ minutes just to go over the top while y'all are, I don't know. It was,
Well, he's afraid of heights, and he mentions it several times.
shove him through the hole. I don't, like, if I'm afraid of
Well,
heights,
no,
I'm
I
going to at least
agree.
try to shove myself through one of those things. Like, he's a tiny little boy.
I just love
He's
the
a little
fact,
baby
and
boy.
I'd never, I guess, noticed it before, but whenever they do get away from, well, after he gets the shit shocked out of him, and, the CPR action, which, I mean, good on Dr. Grant for performing good CPR. I don't think that would be
So-
very great. But he goes, oh, look, little toast for Timmy, and, like, sets him down on the table. I was like, I've never noticed that part before.
So I actually saw that he wasn't doing mouth to mouth on him because it's a young boy. They try to eliminate that scene, but they could not get the CPR scene to work right. So like they had to get the kids okay for Grant to do CPR on him, and then they finally were able to get the scene to look right when he did it. But I guess originally they did not want mouth to mouth going with the young boy and the.
Well, you don't
the
do
older
mouth to
actor.
mouth with CPR anyway now.
Well, back
There's-
then though, didn't you?
Back then you did. Yeah.
Yeah, back then it was 30 compressions, or was it 60 compressions? 3
it was 30.
breaths.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we're getting into the album.
But why did he get shocked off of that line? Because
He didn't hold on? Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Because yeah, you got shocked off. You're not just squeezing. But then what about it's like birds on the fucking power line, right? If birds landing on a power line, they're not grounded to anything. He wouldn't have been grounded to anything. Why would he have gotten shocked? Once he touches the ground and he's touching that, he would have gotten shocked. But I don't know.
Well, let's take us to 5.
As Sadler is making her way over, Grant, Tim, and Lex arrive at the visitor center. They work together to try to reset the computers and reactivate the island's security systems while fighting off the raptors. They are pursued all over the visitor center. Eventually, the raptors are able to corner Sadler, Grant, Tim, and Lex, who are saved at the last minute by the timely arrival of the T-Rex, who kills the last 2 remaining raptors. The foursome meet Hammond and Malcolm in a Jeep in front of the center. Grant announces that he will not endorse the park, which Hammond agrees to. They drive to the helicopter pad and take off from the island.
So now we get to probably the most memorable scene of this, the kitchen scene with the kids and the raptors. The camera work, the reflectiveness of the kitchen, there was so much that they did right in this. I absolutely loved it. The scene where she's trying to get in the oven or whatever, but then you realize it's a reflection at the last. It was so well shot. And
So much just like The Shining. That was exactly straight out of The Shining, where they do that too, and so I thought that was awesome.
I mean, I know that they don't necessarily know where they're going, but I was like, that was the one part of the movie that I was actually found myself talking to the screen. I didn't do it out loud, but I was doing it in my head, and I was like, no, you dumb motherfuckers. You know how many loud shit is in there? Like, don't go in there. Don't go into the... Anytime you lean against something, it pops and makes a metal noise. Like, don't do that. And then I was like, wait.
Go hide in the walk-in freezer.
This is a movie.
It's not cold. You got snacks. They're not getting in there, right?
Yeah, that's true. The ice cream is melting. Like, what are you doing?
But very, very fun scene. Absolutely. Like, I remember as a kid, sometimes I didn't want to watch the whole movie. I would watch from the kitchen scene to the end of the movie just because it was so much fun. Watching the raptors, seeing them work together, the fun, like, there's only 2 raptors unless they figured out how to open doors, and then you see that handles. Never have handles with dinosaurs. Knobs, people. Knobs. No frames.
Right. Yeah. So here's the funny thing. Like these raptors, the velociraptors, you don't even see them until fucking an hour and 45 minutes into the movie. Like, that's it. We only have 15 minutes of screen time with fucking dinosaurs in it, really,
Well,
like throughout this whole movie.
That's the main part of the movie.
But even
She's
the
hero.
T-Rex, you don't really have. All right, even the T-Rex, right? We don't have a whole lot of like screen time in this, but it was. I thought it was definitely intriguing. They did make the time that they have with the T-Rex or with the dinosaurs. I think they made it count, which I was very happy with.
But I mean, also, you hear a little bit about the T-Rex. That's because everybody knows about the T-Rex. But I think they really came in heavy with the information on the Velociraptors just to scare the shit out of you about the Velociraptors. It's like, we're gonna talk about it. We may or may not be about it, but we're gonna talk about it. And then that's that Steven Spielberg swoop. He comes in and he's like, here's some Velociraptors. They're here to fuck shit up. And they do. 100%.
They do.
And kids all up in the ventilation shafts. We're crawling through there. I did like the dinosaur bones, seeing them jumping from there, like some scary shit.
I didn't appreciate
go for it.
I didn't appreciate the ventilation scene. I feel like they stole that from Die Hard, and I just didn't like that.
You can't put people in ventilation shafts. Like, they just don't hold that much weight. So I'm not always a huge fan of that use, but it was fun. So I did see that actually the original ending, they had, I guess, some of the fossils that were hanging there fell and killed the velociraptors that way, and that's how the movie kind of came to an end. But they kind of looked at it and they wanted the T-Rex to be the quote-unquote hero of the movie, so she comes in and does that. How? Not exactly sure how she gets in this visitor center, but
I think the T-Rex is the hero in almost every of the Jurassic films.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I watched Jurassic World after this, and yeah, very much.
Jurassic World, it's the hero. The same thing. Actually, the T-Rex and the Velociraptors work together in Jurassic World. But yeah, I mean, it seems like everything, the T-Rex is always the hero, and I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of over that. Like, I want to see
a brontosaurus fuck shit up. Yeah, exactly. See the leaf eaters.
Get that
big
them tail
going
and beat the shit out of somebody.
Right, you never see any of them really using the tail. Let's get those things moving a little bit.
I mean, you do in Lost World whenever you see the.
The Stegosaurus.
Yeah, Stegosaurus. You see that come in and just hammer shit down, but that's really the only action you see with tails. I'm a little depressed by that.
Outside of Laura Dern, it's really the only tail we see. Too much. But the ending, it kind of came quick, but I liked it. We got the resolution, cool fight scene. You have the fun little comment from Alan Grant as he hops in the car. I will not be endorsing your park. Sorry, buddy. And it's kind of come to a close there. It's fun. We get the music going.
And then the scene of the pelicans. Oh, pelicans! Go, pelicans!
Seems like he was able to figure out how to, seatbelt his seat in the helicopter this time compared to the way in.
Right.
Well, you see that he's he loves kids. He's grown that personal attraction towards like children, and he wants to, maybe have kids. He shares that look with Ellie, and he's like, "Hey, maybe we could have kids someday. We're already practicing.
Maybe someday, Ellie.
We'll just take these kids. They don't like their dad." He left going to get milk, if you ask JJ.
I mean, why not try to adopt them? Their granddad's a multi-millionaire.
Right? He owns a couple of islands and some amber mines, if anything else.
Well, this is the part of the podcast where you guys you've stuck around, you listened to our take on the movie. Now it's time to give you our score. What we do here at Too Much Movie Night is we give our score on a 8-scale pizza slice, a 0 to 8 scale to tell us how good these movies really are. Are they a movie night movie that we want to watch? A 0-slice movie is going to be having a T-Rex pick you up out of the John, rip you to shreds. And a 8-slice movie is going to be, well, just seeing dinosaurs. What's cooler than seeing dinosaurs 20 feet in front of you? But, JJ, Steve, do we have somebody want to go first on this one? I think I'm going to finish it off being my movie.
I'll go first. I don't mind.
Get it.
All right, so Jurassic Park is a fun movie. I liked it. A nostalgic movie. It helped to set the stage for all the other fucking Jurassic Park movies that followed it. My favorite character is Jeff Goldblum. I liked Ian Malcolm because his creepy fuckerness, but at the same time, just how cool he is. But this movie, I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of Michael Crichton. I liked a lot of his other movies. I'm a fan of Steven Spielberg. But this movie I don't know why. It just doesn't do it for me. It's just not necessarily that good of a movie. It is iconic. There's a lot of other stuff that I see, and I say it is iconic. A lot of the stuff. But there's just so many little holes in this movie. So many stuff that I was like, fine, is like, okay, I'm just questioning this all the time of like, what the hell? And so with that, like I say, good movie, a lot of good stuff happening, but it gets a 4 for me. It's an average movie right there.
Whoa. Wowza.
4 slices for, this is Jurassic Park 1, right?
Yes.
All right, Jurassic Park, 4 slices for Steve, an average movie. JJ? What you got for us?
So as I said earlier, I couldn't decide as a child whether I wanted to be a paleontologist because of this movie, or if I wanted to be, a tornado chaser from Twister. I am neither, so that shows you how my life went. But either way, I mean, I grew up fascinated by Jurassic Park just because of what this did. The Lost World was amazing to me. Jurassic Park 3 was really shitty, but I still watched it. I mean, overall, I love Jurassic Park. I think about it, are the graphics good today? No, not at all. The dinosaurs just don't look realistic. Does the technology hold up today? In a way, yeah, it does. I mean, you have the girl talking about, I'm a hacker. I'm not a computer nerd. I'm a hacker. And she goes in and she figures out how to work the system. Although it is shitty, yes, it is. But, I mean, there is a lot of good technology that holds up. I think they could have done it a lot better, but they didn't. But that's what they had to work with back in 1992. Go ahead and say it, Steve.
I got nothing.
I was sitting there watching your hand no, motherfucker, you're about to prove me wrong.
No, not at all.
I mean, as a 90s baby and growing up and watching this movie compared to, being 50 years old in 1994 when this movie came out, Steve, I mean, I truly do see this as a great family night movie that, do I want to watch it every single time I see it on TV? No, but I do get the urge to just let's watch Jurassic Park. And you hear that theme song, and god damn, does that not just get you going? Hell yeah, John Williams, good for you. So I'm going to give it a good, solid, Steve, I will agree with you, though. There are some holes. And now looking back, I have to go back and take some points off, but I give it a solid 6.5 slices.
Wow.
Nice. 6.5. I like it. All right, let me wrap this bad boy up. We got 4 from Steve, 6.5 from JJ, and I'm going to give it, well, you got to hold on. So, Steve, you shared a lot of your nostalgic movies growing up. Last Starfighter is one of those ones I know you kind of grew up with. Just you have some love for it. And I think JJ and I are in the same space, both of us being 90s kids. This was probably one of the most iconic movies I remembered growing up. Wasn't one of the movies I watched over and over. I had a lot of love for comedies, but it's Dinosaurs. Not very many people, really, there hasn't been franchises that I can think of that have tried this or even been successful with it. So I loved it. The score is probably one of my absolute favorite parts of this movie. I'm not a big music person typically, but it takes this movie to another level, and it builds emotion all over the place. Sure, it's got some holes. What movie doesn't? It's got some things that, if you really dive into them, sure, it does that. But still, I didn't find myself really distracted watching this movie because of these things. The characters were awesome. Your main 2 dinosaur nerds were fun. Jeff Goldblum was a nice addition to it. Even Hammond didn't necessarily like the character, but you liked what he helped bring into it. Kids, we've seen way worse kid actors, so I really don't have too many complaints as far as what a lot of this movie brought to me. Movie night movie, abso-fucking-lutely. I haven't seen this in a long time, but it was one of those I was afraid to ruin it for myself, not seeing it in 15 years. So with that said, I'm definitely going to give it a higher score than I anticipated, and I think JJ hit it right where it needs to be. I'd love to get it 6 3/4 slices, but we don't do 3/4 slices here, so I think I'm going to stick with the 6.5 because it's a movie I'm going to watch over and over. I love it. It's fun. It's a movie night movie for me.
Fun fact too, all of the actors in the movie were Spielberg's. Well, I don't know about Timmy. I didn't really see anything about Timmy, but all of the actors other than Timmy were Spielberg's first choice.
Interesting.
He said, I can't remember their names, but he said, I want so and so for this part, and they made the call, and they were like, a Spielberg movie about dinosaurs? Fuck yeah.
Let's do it.
I've heard there were a couple people who turned down the role. I thought that had turned down the role, but Richard Attenborough beat out Steven Spielberg for the best director for E.T. and then beat him out for first movie or for the movie for this one or something like that, or beat him out for the best movie. I want to say for this one, and then best director for E.T. or something like that. So it was interesting and then he cast him in this one. So.
Well, if we put my 6.5, JJ's 6.5, and Steve's 4 together, that's going to give us a Too Much Meter score of 5.67. Not too bad. Not too bad of a score. Where's that going to put us in our meter? Looks like this movie is going to be just short of Tropic Thunder and Whiplash, but it is better than American Made and White Men Can't Jump. And I really liked American Made, but I think Jurassic Park fits pretty well in between these movies.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't mind it.
Don't mind it at all, despite you giving it 4 slices, Steve. What were we thinking there?
It's just not as good. There's just way too many holes in this. So
it's just not nostalgic enough for you. That's just what it is. You were just missed that age cusp.
So you guys give points to nostalgia for your nostalgic movies.
Absolutely. If I could give nostalgic points to Last Starfighter, I would. I just never saw it. Well, folks, we had so much fun with you. We're so glad you stuck around to the end for us. Follow us along everywhere: Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, if you will. Guys, say adios.
Awesome.
It has been great.
It has been great. Love it.
Yeah. Next week, what do we have? 90s movies. Probably another great one.
Yes, sir.
See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Peace.